My name is Charles Christensen. Originally, when I ran for this office, I ran with a gentleman by the name of Don Har from the village. And our plan or our promise to our taxpayers was fiscal responsibility and openness to the public. And our goal was to get the public involved. Because I think the fire board has been, not intentionally, but it's been an organization that's been ignored, or nobody really knows what they do over there. And our goal was to open it up to the public so that they understand where their tax dollars are going. I don't think the general public is aware of why they're trying to recall us. It's the union, the Firefighters Union in Sedona, and a few people who are in the Chapel area who started a movement to recall us. And largely it's a very few people who have been picked up by the Firefighters Union, and they are running the recall because I believe they think we're out to get them, which we're not. They believe that we're out to cut wages and that we're out to lay firefighters off, which is not our purpose at all. In fact, we have not done either one. We haven't done anything so far that would be detrimental to the working firefighters in the Sedona Fire District. A lot of it is, I think, fear because of the economy and what's going on. I think there's a fear of losing their jobs. I think there's a fear that's been artificially generated here by a number of people who've played on the situation to make this look like it's not what it really is. A lot of firefighting organizations are taking pay cuts right now. A lot of taxable areas like the Sedona Fire District are losing tax money because home values are decreasing. And a lot of government agencies are in trouble now because the tax base has eroded significantly in the last 12 months. And we're looking at severe budget cuts coming up in the future that we're going to have to face. The fire district, as we know it today, has a surplus of funds, and that surplus of funds is kept aside to cover expenses when we do not have tax money. And this surplus of funds is about $3 million now, roughly. And in the next 2 years, we are going to be needing those funds because we're going to be losing property tax money. We're going to be getting a lot of shortfalls in what we get from the county. And from we get a lot of our money from grants. Those grants are going to go away. So we're in a situation where it's pretty unpredictable. We don't know how much we're going to lose, but we know it's going to be a significant amount. And this money is to cover that, to prevent us from having to lay off people, to prevent us from having to cut services, which we pledged not to do. We're not in the business of cutting services, nor have we ever intended to. In fact, we're very satisfied with the service level. We want to keep it where it is. They're probably on a par the best paid in Arizona and perhaps in the United States. Sedona is a very rich community, or it has been since, well, in history, but with the lowering of tax revenues here and the decline in home values, Sedona is facing what every other community in the United States is. Let's look at California. Let's look what's happening out there to their state government. And that's hitting us locally. And people here are beginning to understand that we have to start living on a budget, and we have to start watching what we spend. And people, I think, are beginning to see that, I hope. Well, one of the things that we promised our constituents is this year we have, as an organization, significantly lowered our tax costs to the property owner. We have significantly lowered the mill rate. And this is the first time that this has been done, except for maybe a token gesture in the past, where we've really cut back and saved some money. We have, I feel, many areas yet where we could significantly save the taxpayers a lot of money without going in and cutting wages and benefits. But for some reason, the people who I call the fear generators, or the people out there who are playing on this fear, have gone to a point of telling other people, or instilling in the firemen's union, that they have to watch out because we're out there to cut their wages, and that's not true. The media has been pretty brutal to us, but I think in many cases the media has been misinformed. The media reports on what they see, and I think they've reported accurately on a lot of what they've seen, but what they've seen has not been the truth. The general board meetings that are out there have been controlled by a very small minority of vocal people who are the squeaky wheel. And they have tried to influence probably 95% of the other taxpayers by what's been in the paper and on the front page. There's been a lot of character assassination. There's been a lot of untruths or half-truths told, and it's just not the real picture that's going on. But the general consensus was that in the previous administration they wanted to carry forward, expand the fire department, create more jobs, create more of I call it an empire in this area that right at this present time I don't think we need. We are looking at reevaluating response times in this next year to get a realistic picture from an outside source on what our response times are. And I think generally speaking, our response times are pretty good. Because of highway construction and a couple of other things, they've been degraded. But these things are clearing up now, and we have good response times out in this area, as good as we have in the city. So that's an area where we have to take another look at it and kind of reevaluate it. The chapel is not required. The need for the chapel was created because of, in calling it quite blankly, the Firemen's Union and the local board at that time wanted to build a station, so they went around to the residents of the chapel area and handed out brochures and in some ways, I can show you the brochures, but they have been saying that if you don't have a station here, you're not going to get the coverage that you need, your house is going to burn down, you're going to die of a heart attack, and this is just not true. Through fear and intimidation, there's been a false need created here, and very few people actually are the people that are proposing this station, and they are doing it out of this fear that's been generated by the Firemen's Union. Yes, sir. In response to your question, the chapel is legally covered by state regulation as far as the number of stations we have. If you look at Sedona, we have 3 major stations and 3 or 4 satellite stations. We have a lot of fire stations. And our coverage out in the chapel area is within the radius required by law, and we are code compliant, we are law compliant, and everything that we have done in the past has been very carefully done to comply with these codes and regulations and laws. Sedona gets less than 1 structural fire a month. We have quite a number of engines and quite a number of firemen, and with less than 1 structural fire a month, we're very adequately covered. There is some fear from the victims about possible heart attacks and the like. We're also very well covered there too. In fact, statewide and nationally, we're probably one of the most the best covered fire districts in the United States. And the 100-foot ladder truck, I think, was a misappropriated thing at the time, because we could have bought 2 75-foot ladder trucks for approximately the same price, and I'm quoting one of the chiefs on this. And we went ahead and bought this 100-foot ladder truck that's very large, very cumbersome, and it's really, it has very limited use in our city. And it's slow, it's big, it's heavy, it's hazardous. When you see a 100-foot, 80,000-pound truck roaring down the street at 55 miles an hour, gangway, because it's dangerous. And I think that when I look at this happening and them sending this truck out as a first responder, I'm questioning whether this is really an intelligent decision or not. I can answer that by saying, according to Arizona laws, Arizona is a fairly young state, and the school board has a number of laws regarding conflict of interest and nepotism. The fire board does not. So yes, there is nepotism there, and we have, when Mr. Haar and I were elected, we went against this conflict of interest and actually replaced the individual who was part of the conflict of interest. And at this point in time, there are still conflicts of interest, but they are disappearing.